We lead off this week on today's episode with a little rewind as we compare the 2022 Cubs to the 2014 Cubs. Wade Miley returns and some news and notes as the Cubs exit a series with the Cardinals and enter one with the Reds. That's all on this edition of Locked On Cubs.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. A Tuesday episode as we get the week started. Got to make sure I make sure I have my days of the week right. In my show notes, I actually have Monday listed, so that's already a mistake of mine, as I have a lot of Sunday vibes right now. Sam, hopefully things are going well with you as the Cubs got swept by the Cardinals, but we're going to get to that later in the show.
They're not going well.
They're not going well. All right.
Can I elaborate for a second?
Yeah. How can I help you with that?
Yeah. So the last time we did a show, I was getting ready to get ready to go to a softball game. Showed up to that game late. By the time I got there, we were down 6-1. Wasn't my fault while we were late. I only got one at bat. I made an out. My fantasy team's about to be eliminated from the postseason. And since the last time we did a show, which feels like 2004, the Cubs haven't won a baseball game yet. The Illini also blew a game to Indiana. So everything right now is just all up. It does feel like a Sunday. I'm not in a great mood. So please cheer me up.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try my best. And it's a shame that you would travel that far and get one plate appearance.
One plate appearance.
So hopefully it goes better this week. Okay, because you have a game Thursday night, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in prime time.
Prime time, baby. All right. So with 28 games left, Sam, for the Northsiders,
yes,
there's some discussion ramping up, including from the Athletics' Patrick Mooney, who actually does more to dispel this claim than prove about the 2022 Cubs, this current ball club. On a similar track as the first era that had success, and that was with the 2014 team that also did a lot of losing, but it was the preface to a great success, because at this time in 2014, nobody would have said, "Oh, well, this is a franchise that's going to be in the NLCS, in 13 months from now," and so those parallels are where it gets fun, because you can visualize potentially 2023 being a special year. But, what memories do you have of that 2014 team? Because the end of that season actually didn't go very well.
The memories I have of the end of the 14 team do not at all, to me, correlate with these memories. What I would say about that was year 3 of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
So we had seen Starlin Castro and Anthony Rizzo make all-star teams that year. I guess you could say, well, Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ, but it didn't feel the same with those guys. Jorge Soler was up and hitting. Javier Baez was up and not hitting. Chris Bryant was the unanimous number 1 prospect in the system and in baseball at the time. We knew Addison Russell wasn't far away. And the one other similarity, I guess, I shouldn't say, now they say there are some similarities. Mm-hmm. The other similarity is you knew they were going to make a big acquisition in the offseason. It turned out to be John Lester and Dexter Fowler, ironically, starting pitcher and center fielder. I guess there is some similarities, but the difference is there was a lot more ready to go guys in the system than there is now, which makes for why the offseason will be so intriguing, because how much is ownership, how much is management going to extend themselves to put together a really good product next year, when really PCA is right around the corner. Davis should be on the team at some point. You know what I'm saying? So, and that 2015 team won 97 games. This 2023 Cubs team, 87 would be a good number.
Right. I want to go over the lineups from since the Cubs actually didn't play today.
I'd like to hear what your thoughts on it too, if you can.
Oh yeah, well, my thoughts are that I think the Cubs were actually a little bit not in disarray, but like even as I look at the lineups, which I'm going to
You
share in a
can't look at
minute.
you can't look at the record. That's why that's
Yeah,
why you can't overdo the record. That's a great point actually. Hey, at the end of 14 they didn't finish that they didn't finish solid, and it doesn't really matter from year to year how they finish. That's why you got to just take these games with a grain of salt. You got Horner, Suzuki. They're just Horner, Suzuki, Happ, Contreras to me just weren't as established going into next year
yeah.
as Rizzo, Castro, Bryant, and then Russell coming in. But it's actually there are some similarities. I take back what I said originally. I think there's a few.
Yeah, I like the vibe that the 22 players that are continue to 23 and potentially if it contribute have looking back from 14 to 15. I sort of enjoy that. I think that we've even been saying it since July 5th when we took over the show is, you look it up and down the Cubs roster, even post trade deadline, and there is talent on the field.
Sure.
And so,
Ortega.
if I broadcast this 14 lineup, even though Castro and Rizzo missed most of September, Labor Day of 14, the lineup was embarrassing. And you could say, and I would love to say it, yesterday's lineup was also a little odd, and just there's some personnel decisions that maybe I can grasp at or pick straws, but
kind of like David Bodie pinch running for Zach McKinstry. That makes a lot of sense.
well, yeah, that was dumb. And Higgins is hitting or Ortega is batting sixth. There's just more you can do to set yourself up for 23. You don't have to keep playing all these guys. You can set yourself up. You can manipulate some stuff. But I guess I'll digress. I think the key
should say David Bodie pinch running for Zach McKinstry. I think I said that opposite.
You did. Oh, no, you said it. You said it
right.
Right.
I said it right. Okay.
I don't want McKinstry hitting leadoff anymore. But anyways,
yeah, no, it's a good point.
The Cubs have a more well-rounded system this time around. It is deeper, but the system in 14 to 15 was ranked number one. Now, the reason why they were ranked number one, the Cubs are somewhere in the 7 to 12 range by most publications, is because there was personnel knocking on the door. Like, knock, knock, who's there? Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, Wilson Contreras, Kyle Schwarber eventually, even though he was a 14 draft pick. Albert Almora eventually, who contributed. So all of these top guys graduated and contributed. So the current hitters aren't as close to making a huge impact on the big league level.
Right.
But you've built this train of relievers. You have really rebuilt the starting pitching infrastructure. And so that's what excites me, is because even though you did have some disarray with that 14 team, and your handpicked manager was fired and your hitting coaches resigned, and you still have organization now.
Yeah.
That when you do peak into 23, just like when they were peaking to 15, it looks pretty good.
I think the short way to say it is it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Okay.
I think less star power right now, less of a ceiling, less upside, but more depth and more infrastructure. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, totally. Let me just,
because the pitching thing was nothing from 14 to 15. They were just like, all right, Lester Hendricks, Jake Arrieta is going to be Bob Gibson, and let's run this thing out.
Yeah, those were Hall of Fame seasons.
Right.
Arrieta pitched 220 plus innings plus the playoffs.
Right.
He did that 2 years in a row. I'll kind of get to some of the moves they could make in a minute, but listen to this lineup on Labor Day 14. By the way, they got shut out that day, 8-0 to the Blue Jays of Toronto. Marcus Stroman was the winning pitcher that day. So that's very strange. Chris Coughlin.
Of course. Big part of the 15 club.
Javier Baez.
Yeah.
Luis Valbuena.
Sure.
Jorge Soler,
Yeah.
Wellington Castillo,
Yeah.
Mike Olt. Remember him?
Yeah. A lot of home runs.
Arizmendi Alcantara,
He was supposed to be a prospect. That's sometimes guys doesn't pan out.
Logan Watkins,
Lefty.
and Chris Valika.
Yeah, it's a bad lineup. All right. So in that lineup though,
Castro and Rizzo were out with injuries.
So right. So I think you have to say, all right, replace Castro and Rizzo, and then that lineup would have had Castro, Rizzo, Soler, Coughlin, and Baez. Those are 5 guys that turned out to be large parts of your future
next year. Yeah,
I wouldn't say, I don't think there's 5 guys in today's lineup. I think it's because Contreras is TBD.
Right.
Okay, I'll give you Happ, I'll give you Horner, I'll give you Suzuki.
What about Reyes?
I don't think you could write him in yet.
You can't write him in.
He's definitely more intriguing than Logan Watkins was.
It's not even close.
Yeah, but
what about Chris Morel?
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you're right.
You could probably squeeze 5 names.
You're right.
It's a little spooky, but you could probably do it.
It's not as nailed on though.
It's not. And
then Chris Bryant was also you could have just wrote him in as he was a big leaguer at that point.
But could I write in Matt Mervis's name next year?
Well, if you can't, I don't know who you're going to write in.
Well, we could go. We have plenty of shows.
When you go into next year, assuming Ian Happ's on the team and Contreras isn't, which I could be wrong, but let's just safely assume that real quick, and then we'll move on. Happ, Horner, Suzuki are the only guys on the team right now that are for sure going to be on the team or at least start next year. Because I don't think Morel is a foregone conclusion starter right now.
True.
He'll be on the team, but like those are the only there's a lot of openings. There's a lot of things they could do. So we'll see. It's gonna be it might be the most fascinating offseason in Cub history.
That's an awesome line, and I agree because you see how things can change quickly with the correct moves.
Right.
Correct in all caps. So let's wait and see on that. And we'll be here all off season, by the way.
Absolutely.
You're snuggled up to a fire, put on the show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do understand what you're saying. Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Hey, speaking of the weather, as you gear up for the fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. You can do that with LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 800 million people. Simple tools are available, like screening questions, to make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free right now at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Beautiful.
Sam, one potential job prospect from last fall. In fact, I believe it was basically the first move of the entire baseball offseason.
We did a show about it like in October.
It was early November. Yeah. I looked
okay.
up the date about an hour ago.
Okay. Yeah. Potato.
I thought it was October too, though.
Potato.
So November 5th, the Cubs claimed Wade Miley off waivers from the Reds, which launched the offseason. And we were excited because here comes a proven major league pitcher, left-handed, a solid 21 season. He threw a no-hitter in May of 2021. But Wade Miley, friends, has dealt with injuries all year, including this weird, consistent shoulder issue that may be comical. At least Sam used it for comedic fodder, and he's entitled to that.
I'm doing it right now.
But he's going to return on Tuesday night against his former team. And he actually has pitched a lot the last month. He's made 5 starts in the minors. So it's interesting to see what he could give the Cubs here in the last 28 ball games.
And he made some interesting comments.
He made comments.
I thought you said that he said something like he was really excited about, he really liked being a Cub or something.
Well, recently him and Drew Smiley have said that.
Yeah.
And both of those guys are also extremely likable. They have good presence in the clubhouse. I think having a guy like Miley around for these, let's say he makes 4 starts, right?
Right.
And even Smiley as well. Do young pitchers, need that example? I would say, yeah. I would venture to say, yes, they do.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really excited about the Miley signing, and I think he was a huge loss this year. I think the Cubs would have got off to a much better start this season if he was healthy.
Well, he's pitched well when he's pitched.
I would love to see him be back healthy next year, but it would have to be at a very, very small price. Almost
Right.
you'd have to say, "Hey, Wade, you said you like it here. You said you want to be a part of this. We gave you $10 million this year. I think that was what they paid him.
Mhm.
You're going to have to take a discount just and say, hey, you know what? I got $10 million last year and I didn't really provide much because I was injured. So I'm going to take a lot less. And I want to be a part of this team somewhere because, we do know next year starting staff's going to look something like this. Player X will start on opening day. I really don't think Marcus Stroman or
That's
Kyle
such a
Hendricks
big question.
will be starting opening day. I really believe they're going to get somebody. We're going to call him Player X.
Okay, I like it.
Stroman, Steele, Hendricks. The rest, I think, is completely up for grabs. Keegan Thompson, Alzolay, one of the young kids.
Assad.
No. Maybe
Killian, Wisniewski, Smiley.
Right. And then maybe a Wade Miley situation. So you never could have too many starters, but it would have to be at a very team-friendly price.
Yeah, and I think Wade Miley I would sure hope he's self-motivated because he's going to hit that market again. So he needs to prove it. And the Cubs have the innings available right now. So we'll see if he could make a dent at all. Sam, do you feel as though the Cubs are proving, or at least trying to prove, they could be a place for pitchers on 1-year deals, or what have you seen from that the last couple of years?
I think it goes back 10 years.
Yeah.
Paul Maholm, Scott Feldman, Jason Hamill. They've always been pretty good with that. I mean, there's no Jake Arrieta with no 1-year deal for Scott Feldman.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. I would hope that the guy I'm talking about, Player X, unless it's DeGrom, would be not a 1 or 2 year deal, something more long term. But you got to be careful with that stuff. Pitchers get hurt. I mean, that's why the Lester deal was so remarkable, is it just worked perfectly.
It was one of the best deals of all time.
But I just don't think you can't. And this is no disrespect to Stroman, because we'll get to him. He pitched a really nice game. He's been dynamite as long as he's not pitching at Wrigley Field. I don't think you could take yourself seriously as a playoff contender if Marcus Stroman starts on opening day. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Which gets back to your comment from earlier about could be one of the most active off seasons in the team's history.
There's so many questions.
Yeah, there really is. And
and it's good stuff.
Exciting as a fan.
And close with this. They're going to be good soon. They're going to be good soon. We hope it's next year because no one's getting any younger. But if they don't next year, they're going to be good soon. The question is just going to be, how much do they extend themselves to be good next year? That's the question. I'm almost 100% sure by 2024 they're going to be really good. I just don't know how. 2023 is the year that just has a question mark on it. They got to pay bills.
Right. And we'll keep those in mind moving forward. We're going to get back to talk about the current club next. All right, Sam. So the Cubs got swept to the Cardinals, and glad to not see your broom with having that effect behind you. But one of the games wasn't even close, really 2 of the games. and they did compete till the end on Sunday, but fell short despite a great performance from Marcus Stroman.
They didn't compete to the end. Stroman just threw really well.
Stroman did, yeah. So
Yeah.
really, it was only a few guys who performed well all weekend.
Suzuki's hitting a lot of singles. I would love to see him hit some home runs.
Maybe a double.
Horner's,
How about we start with a double?
Horner's fading a tad.
It's actually a little bit of a concerning slide now for me.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned.
I'll keep you posted on that this week.
I think he's just tired. Like, this is just a long season for him. He's never played close to this many games because, like, his at-bats don't look good. Like, his swing looks different. I don't know. He's fading a tad. Reyes had a nice weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been pretty consistent since he joined the team.
They somehow pitched to Pujols with a lefty, base open. They pinch ran with Bodie for a lot of Ross questions. I'm just going to stay away from it for now. I mean, everyone knows our stance. We've done our job on that, so there's no reason to beat a dead horse.
Right? It's not really a treasure hunt on this show.
No. You don't have to go far to think what I think of the skipper.
Right. No night at the museum here.
Base open. Albert basically has been Albert against lefties. He's like 2004 Albert Pujols this year against lefties.
Yeah.
And he just lay one right in there to lose the ball game.
So you are going to get into it?
No.
Oh, okay. You just recapped it pitch for pitch.
Tommy Edmonds hitting, Arenado, Goldschmidt, Gorman.
Well, Goldschmidt might win the Triple Crown.
I got to tell you, Molina kind of had a big series after I've been making fun of him on the show.
Well, yeah, they played the show in the clubhouse. Didn't you hear that?
He stole third.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
I think it was the first steal.
That guy runs an 8-second 40.
It was his first steal since the Lincoln administration.
No. Let's not, You know what I mean? I dropped a couple administration references this weekend, and some people were like, "Yeah, you talk about that on the show sometime."
Right, like a get new material type thing.
Yeah, it was a bad weekend. Hopefully they win some games against the Reds. I picked up Steele in fantasy. He was really excited about it, only to hear last night that he will not be pitching against Cincinnati. Still battling a back injury.
Yes, here's who will be pitching this week. It's going to be Miley versus Dunn, Assad versus Minor, and Sampson versus Sessa. That's going to be, as we have the return of the 640 first pitch, 640, 640, and 120.
Yeah, it's going to be 640 because it's starting to get cool and a little darker on the north side of Chicago, right on Clark and Addison. This weekend felt very, you know what this weekend felt like me? I wanted to get my little pumpkin thing and go trick or treating.
Nice, yeah. Well, you are a big candy fan, so I think there's a lot to be determined still. A lot to be determined from this season still. Who shows up, who doesn't? Do we see any other players promoted? We'll see. The Cubs also play the Giants this week.
And if you're not interested in that, just tune into the show because who knows what we could talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Ride with us. Listen, if the weather's going to get like this, roll the windows down and blow the speakers out with Locked On Cubs. You can always get new speakers.
And a week from now, our football team will have a game under their belt.
Yes. And speaking of football, Iowa football is one of the worst franchises in all of sports.
It's not a franchise. It's a program.
I just want to say
it's
that.
A school.
Okay. Yeah. You don't score an offensive touchdown against an FCS team. You get 7 points via field goal and 2 safeties. And you should be ashamed of yourselves, and it's nepotism at its finest.
And Matt Mervis, speaking of Iowa, just to, we don't want to take the focus away. 90% of these people probably don't even know what you're talking about. Matt Mervis, speaking of Iowa,
the Hawkeyes are a joke.
May drive in as many runs this year as Lou Gehrig used to. So that's cool.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button and all your favorite Locked On Cubs content. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. And remember, you can drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview Show. an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the 2022 NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network will all be there, plus betting coverage from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Big week ahead on the show. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.